customary and traditional language of the Musqueam people in time of immemorial. We acknowledge the sacred land in which the town of Moosonee operates within the lands protected by the James Bay Treaty, Treaty number 9. We are grateful to have the opportunity to make decisions at this table that will impact our community, which.
For transparency, I'd like to remind all participants and attendees that this meeting is being recorded in accordance with the municipality procedures. In the event of an emergency, please exit quietly in this room and use the door.
We'll open our meeting with resolution 2026-091, sorry. Be resolved, this regular council meeting come to order at 6:02 p.m. Present, Mayor Typula, Councilor Ryder, Councilor Tozer, Councilor Hunter, and Councilor McElhenney. We have a move for this resolution, please. Susan moved it, seconded, Carmen Tozer. Moved by Susan Hunter, seconded by Carmen Tozer. Any discussion in open the meeting? If not, all in favor. Opposed, carried. All right, we'll move right on to the next motion, please.
Resolution 2026 number 2026-092, be it resolved that the agenda be accepted as presented / amended.
Thank you. Could I have a mover for this resolution? Sabian moves it, seconder. Susan. Moved by Sabian McAtee, seconded by Susan Hunter. Before we start, there's one addition I would like to add to the agenda that was brought forward for the Council Rider. Again, it'll be under item number 12. It is discussion on the CAO's position after May the 12th. So over a general discussion, what we're going to do about the CAO's position after May the 12th. Are councilors in favor of that discussion? Councilor Ryder?
Yeah.
Councilor McAtee? Councilor Hunter? Okay, again, I will apologize, because I was out. I saw this on Friday, it passed the due date, right, and that was submitted earlier. But again, so that's why I wanted to add it to us, right? So we will accept it. Any other changes to the agenda? Okay, if that one change, if the agenda has been amended, no further discussion, all in favor? Both carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Are there any pecuniary interests to disclose? Don't see any. If there are any during the meeting and you feel like disclosing them at that time, please feel free to do so. We'll move number 4, adoption of the minutes of March 31st.
Resolution 2026 number 2026-093, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Moosonee adopt the minutes of the regular meeting number 8-2026 on March 31st, 2026 as presented / amended.
I have a mover for this resolution, please. Sabian, seconder. Diane, moved by Sabian McAtee, seconded by Diane Ryder. Are there any changes in the minutes? Don't see any, so we'll accept it as presented. Any further discussion? Not all in favor. Opposed, carried. We move on to number 5, presentation, the delegation. We don't have any, so we're ready for reports and memos. And the first one we have is the ice breakup. Steve Brown, Manager of Protective Services, and I believe we all got your email, Steve.
I sent it to you. I don't know if you would also agree to.
No, I didn't check it too.
Okay. So I was gonna start there anyways. So yesterday I sent out an email. I got a little bit more information course, at the end of the day today, so I haven't sent out an official, follow-up to that. I'm gonna do it after the meeting. I don't know about you guys tonight. There is no, anything happening with the river right now. As we're aware, there is a lot of, snow at this point in time, but everything upriver looks great. I was actually shared a website today from one of my emergency measures Ontario contacts for the links for all the like flow meters and whatnot and the cameras. So I can check on that daily to see even up the Moosonee and the Abitibi before it even hits the Moose and be able to check cameras to see what's going on there. I did check that later this afternoon. Everything looks normal. There's no slushiness up there. It looks still intact. Other than you could tell snow is melting, but it's still cool water. So it looks like everything's draining well. So at this point in time, everything is decent. Now to touch base on the email, as per what his worship had mentioned, I was notified yesterday afternoon that Moose Factory was, they had decided they were making that decision today, but they were contemplating doing a pre-evacuation of their bowling bolts from Moose Factory. I think part of the reasoning for that was there was discussions from a lot of the elders that didn't want to go to their camps this year because of the amount of snow. So that's struck up conversations on should they look at doing it. In discussions with Mike Delaney, he's the fire chief and acting CMC over there right now. He's again the CMC, he can recommend and guide, but it's up to the decision, just like it is here over there, chief and council. So they were making that decision today, and they have decided that they are going to start the process of doing pre-evacuation of their vulnerables, more just because the amount of snow. Mike had expressed to them that he doesn't feel that he has any worries of any flooding events happening this year, but they feel that they don't want to take the chances. As I said in the email last night, realistically, because we can never officially determine if a flooding event is going to happen until breakup is literally right in front of us, because what causes flooding is where ice jams up in front of the community. So we can never truly predict or know what's happening until the river starts doing something. This is a decision that they've made. They have every right to do so. They're on an island. I don't blame them for it. So, and it actually makes it, like, if it did get to that point where we then had to look at if we needed to evacuate our vulnerables, then theirs are already gone. So working with the PIOC, it would just be us. It wouldn't be both communities at the same time. So all in all, it's not a bad thing. Seems a little preemptive, but that's their choice. So I just wanted to give an update on that. But aside from that, everything looks good. I'll keep everybody updated. I'll be monitoring the link that it was given, so that way I can hopefully catch it when it starts moving before it hits the moves. Any questions?
Counselor Seagan, any questions?
No question.
Counselor Hunter,
No, at the moment.
Counselor Ryder.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know what our pre-planning is, I guess. Is that, yes, we don't know, or we don't possibly think right now that anything's gonna happen, but it's better to have a pre-plan than to not have a plan.
It's no different than any other year. So typically what would happen is as it starts moving, typically what I would do is call the initial control group together just to give an update as we're seeing what's happening. We're not even like Moose Factory and discussing with Moose Factory. We don't have the budget to do the flights that they typically do. In the past, I've always worked with them to try to maintain that we have the same communications going out to both sides. I've seen in the past where there's been a mix up and both sides were getting frustrated because this side would report one thing, Moose Factory would report report another. So my plan is to work with them. Moosonee hasn't even remotely thought about starting flights at this point in time. So typically, it's just a waiting game right now, and once that sort of starts, and we get a report that it's starting to move, an email again would go out to everybody just to say, like, it's starting, and then we would go from there. But we read the conditions and then we meet and go from there. So as data comes in.
And I'm thinking more of pre-planning, again, knowing what's going on around us, with our First Nation communities, and that Moosonee's kind of a hub with a train and, airport. So again, what do we have in place for our own community, not necessarily like our own community, but again, if we're called on support, like what do we have set up in our own community?
From what I've always done, and I've already done that earlier this week, is I reach out to the ONR directly, typically, so it's a new person, from when I was here previously. But I've always, made arrangements with, the VP of Rail to have, rail cars set up and waiting in Cochrane, their spare rail cars. So typically it would shorten the time, for a call-in to have to bring up, the available rail cars. They don't even know what their supply is right now, so they're working on that to get me that information.
Do we have an internal group within our community? Like, again, I'm just thinking of all the support services. Is that a group that comes together, or do we have that?
Not typically. So it would be the initial control group is mostly the town staff. And then depending on the emergency or what's in front of us, we have it in the emergency plan where we have contact information from different either companies or organizations that we could then pull into the meeting as emergency requires.
Any other question?
You don't go to
Yeah,
Hi, sorry, can I jump in? I just wanted to add to that last year when we were going through this process as well, as Steve mentioned, we worked with Moose Factory and their emergency team as well as EMO. We're keeping us up to date. There was a broader group that did meet as needed. It was kind of EMO was sort of leading it, and then they would call a meeting with a broader group, which would include OPG, the First Nation, ourselves, the OPP, WAHA. So there was a broader group that would meet upon EMO sort of setting up a meeting. But that wasn't until it got to, I think, like stage 3 or something. There's different stages. And then once it goes to stage 3, then EMO will like activate this larger, broader group. And then there'll be ongoing communications. Last year, I think we had a daily update once we got to a certain stage. And as you know, last year we didn't flood, but you know, we were working with police on monitoring the bridge and just making sure that that water was staying below that identified marker. So, you know, it did work out pretty well last year. Obviously, we didn't have an evacuation, but there are plans in place, and EMO was on top of things. And Steve's already had several meetings with EMO. So I think that we're well situated this year, as well as, you know, the risk does feel higher because of all the snow. So everyone's a bit more on high alert.
I will say, this is the most amount of snow that I've ever seen in my 30 years of being here. But that isn't the only factor with it. Along with that, I've heard reports that the river is actually thinner than what it has been in the past as well. So if that's the case, and depending on how well it froze, it could be easily broken up depending on how much water we get. So we can't judge anything from year to year. Every year there's different variables. So we truly, again, we do plan and work with the EMO and different vendors in advance, but we're still very much in advance. A lot of that sort of stuff doesn't happen until anything starts breaking up.
I guess go back, I was gonna make a comment, I had heard from different sources now, but not firsthand, that OPG has been spilling a lot of water out of their dams and that their head ponds are pretty much empty, like the one on Otter, and in preparation for the spring melt they're anticipating.
Yeah, to receive from down south most likely.
Yeah.
So they'd be trying to flush stuff out to receive more water as it starts melting.
So you've heard that too?
So they do send updates, and whatnot, so for the most part, it's very basic updates, it's not a huge amount. If they start spilling a lot of water, they call. So again, it's just, this time of year, they start sending out updates just to say that they are and how much they are flowing.
Okay, so from what I understand, then we're looking at then two. At this point, even though the probability is low, Moose Factory is evacuating, they're vulnerable. What role do we play in that as a town of Moosonee in terms of, do we, like our airport, is it set up, are they gonna just fly people out or are they planning to take the train?
That's what they were deciding, so I'm gonna know more tomorrow on that, that's what they were deciding today, they were having a meeting, it's a very small meeting, even my direct report with the MO wasn't even involved in that meeting. So that was happening, I think, at 4:30 today. That's where they're gonna make the decisions on how they're gonna look at transporting people out. Again, with that, that's why I sent out the email last night, so Alex at the airport was aware of it. They had reached out to me discussing it, I asked that question. They're not looking at really involving us, per se, it's other than, it's more of a notification that we're gonna have people passing through the town. It sounds like it could be up to 1,400 people, is what they've identified. They feel that it will drop down, and most people that are on that list will refuse to go. But they have to look at the numbers on what they identified, at this point in time, so I've already advised them that we do not have the space in the terminal for this sort of movement, so they need to try to find something or identify something. I gave them the number and advised them to try to reach out to Help Transport, as they have a large hangar that's out there. And if they are flying people out, then they can stage people there. They're already planning on using their own staff to register and oversee the individuals, and then as the aircrafts come in.
The only reason I ask is that one time when Fort Albion was evacuated, to here.
Yeah.
Do you ever, I'm just thinking the worst case scenario, they could get evacuated off the island and be here.
There's always that possibility.
And I don't know how much facility, or do we have an evacuation plan in that event?
Well, typically that's where we'd end up using either the gyms or the arena or those sort of locations. Those decisions would have to be decided upon once we're in that position. That's why they're updating me, and that's why they gave me the heads up initially, so that we at least know that they're passing through Moosonee. And again, that was my first question. How is Moosonee going to be involved in this? Are you looking at, what are you looking at? They're trying not to involve us as much as possible. However, we all know the weather can come in, something can happen to an aircraft that's coming up, and then they're stuck on this side. In that sort of case, that's where the control group would be called, and then we'd have to start making decisions on that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, just to elaborate, we have a emergency plan to red binder we're all familiar with. Just on your question, Karen, if they were to come over and have to stay here, then our emergency plan could change. And we have to follow our emergency plan that is all set out. Right? Again, we'd have to be coordinated, we'd have to all call the control group and go from there. Another thing I did speak to Victoria about today, and I just want to bring it to your attention too, Steve, is if they're evacuating from Moose Factory, all right, I hope they don't plan on having 400 of them come and live with relatives here. Okay,
Again, they haven't said that.
but make sure that, because we don't need an extra 400 people, so should we have to evacuate?
Yeah, and for example, when they were doing Saskatchewan, that was what I expressed with Saskatchewan as well, because they had advised me about Saskatchewan, the fact that they were coming out, and there were a few that were going to be coming to Moosonee. Again, booking at that point in time was booking over south. We can't not control, like we can't control that piece. If somebody chooses to leave the island and then come stay with family, it's more of we need to know, because especially for our resources and whatnot. if I found that out, I would advise, council to control it as well.
Okay, and, our, our plan, we work with EMO.
Yep.
Our plan did not kick in until we have, declared a state of emergency, otherwise we're 100% funded the bill. So, the mayor has to declare a state of emergency, speaking with the control group, as well as EMO and the municipal affairs and housing involved as well.
That would be for us specifically, for anything that we were doing if we decided to evacuate. So if Moose Factory decides to evacuate, we don't have to declare for that because they've declared and everything is billable to them. So let's say that they decided to go by train and they start bringing people over. I'm sure they're gonna reach out to see if we have room at the community hall or something like that, so that we can put people there. If that was the case, then we'd be billing them for the time that they're using that facility.
And we have it pretty well outlined, should we have any emergency where we have to move people out of town or anything, it's outlined in our plan.
Yeah.
And how it goes, and, again, last year, we did have some people in the community step out of bounds and went right to the, EMO saying we weren't meeting, which was wrong, we were meeting here. We don't call a big control group, because we have, on the bridge, we have a gauge, level 1, level 2, level 3, and when it gets to a certain level, then we call the whole control group. So there is a plan, we do review it, we have mock exercises. Right? Reservoirs that you were talking about, they are lower. The last one I got from the, OPG was about 31 to 35% capacity right now, so they got quite a bit of room left. We have been working with, EMO as well as OPG to ask them to make sure that when they have a big melt down there, that they don't hold everything back, and all of a sudden they're getting all this and let it all through. So we are communicating, working with them, have been for the last few years. I would like to see, maybe something can go on our webpage to the public about, but the rumors are going to get started.
Yeah.
If we could do that.
And that's what I brought up to Victoria last night, is that's gonna be me / most likely your worship, just a PR sort of thing. Just in dealing with that, of course, I'll look at once we have more information. I was waiting for them to officially decide today or not. Now that they have decided, yeah, that was my initial plan, just to sort of squash any sort of discussions on or worries, like why are they doing it? What do we do?
All right, and for council information, I actually went down and spoke with Patamin today. Because again, when we've had evacuations in the past, and if they're going to use planes at the airport, I want to make sure that Patamin's going to have enough aircraft fuel here. And he topped up in case we have to evacuate too, or other communities. I went down, they have not been notified by anybody. So they're going to be looking into it as well, because these are the things we have to think about. All of a sudden, have all the helicopters, aircrafts going, and it takes 3 weeks to get a tank car of fuel up here.
Would those not be in the emergency binder though? Those are the things I'm talking about that are like pre-planned, things that automatically happen every year, just so that, or years such as this, that those are the things that, you know, like yourself as mayor, like you said, you went down to Page Haven, but you not in your position or something happened, there's not somebody that's gonna go do it. Is there not a checklist at different times?
There's a list of all the people that we have to deal with the equipment, things and that. So when we get into that stage, that's why I went there today, just to make sure, you know.
Well, that's what I mean, like a pre-checklist that we should be doing right now that is alerting all of these, like the companies, the whatever, right? That we're on alert here, or kind of, you know, knowing that maybe something is higher this year. That's what I was saying, is a pre-checklist of some kind that we're notifying people.
Yeah.
Of possible things.
And again, nothing was officially decided upon, except for as of later this afternoon. So yeah, that would be the sort of stuff that would be looked at. You have to remember, typically Moose Factory and Moosonee don't evacuate. So it's not one of those things that's on a checklist, and Paytabin won't order more fuel if they don't need to, because then they're holding onto it. So we have to be careful. We can notify, but we can't force.
No, I mean, even notifying, like that this is on our radar, is that this could happen, especially again with our coastal communities, like it's not necessarily maybe us all the time, but the coastal communities and the communities around us, right? So that's what I'm just saying, is there some kind of a checklist that we should be looking at every year, that yes, if, you know, pay tab in the store, you know, extra water, like, I don't know what it is, but there's, you know, there should be a checklist. I mean, we are in a possible flooding area.
Every year we're at a possible
Exactly.
flood.
So I mean, we, you know, if anybody needs a checklist, we live near water, right? So we should have a checklist, again, typical to other communities that live near bodies of water, that we should be doing, regularly, regardless of, you know, more snow this year, less snow, just putting the alert out. That's what I'm wondering, is there pre-planning in that way happening right now?
We will,
That we're not
we
aware of.
will have a meeting in here,
Exactly,
hopefully in the near future.
exactly.
Yeah.
And again, it's still so early that most of that stuff wouldn't have kicked in, except for Moose Factory starting and evacuating. Again, this is the second time in my 30 years that I've even seen them evacuate. So it's very early. Yeah, at this point in time, with the fact that that sort of stuff starts happening, yeah, discussions would happen with Big Kevin as being the fuel supplier, and whatnot, or anybody that could be affected. So OPP would be notified. A lot of the agencies would be notified, especially with the possibility of if they do get stuck here. Because again, Moosonee being used as a hub for different locations, it's something that I usually try to avoid, even evacuations from the coast, depending on how serious it is. I've always expressed to EMO that they should never come here. They should go directly from their location down south, especially when we're in a position of looking to evacuate, the possibility of having to evacuate. We have to focus on our municipality, not take on the extra load of a separate one. Moose Factory slightly different. They have to come through us. Again, this is typically not something that they do, but so as we're going along, we'll continue to update and look at what we need to identify.
Yeah, we have a list of everybody that we have to work with during the evacuation, where they will all be reminded, if you don't call it, that make sure that you have. All right, now, again, I get all the pictures and everything you get directed to me, but I guess it's OPG does not send us the amount of flows at each of these rivers yet. Usually, I guess they haven't started yet.
And that's it. It's just so early and we haven't gotten to that point.
Okay.
So like, that's what I'm saying about Moose Factory. This is very early. Again, it's their decision. They have every right to do so. It's just very, very early. And it's not typically something you would see, expect coming from them especially. But again, that's their decision and I respect their decision.
And this final information for councilors is EMO were here with, we was sending them here, 2 weeks ago. You were out of town.
Yeah.
We did meet here with them. We did have discussion on a lot of the, emergency plan preparedness and that with them, but so it was a good meeting as well.
We do have that red binder that we should all read through as well.
Yeah, again, we have to go through that because there's some numbers that change, people change, so we'll be going to.
Yeah, there's still some changes even as of right now with Shelley leaving and whatnot. I'm trying to look at who, and we're gonna be working with Victoria on that. We're gonna be looking at who's gonna be filling in for certain positions that are identified, so you will see some updates coming. Probably once we can get those decisions made on who's gonna fill.
And again, Steve, I would suggest that within the next little while that maybe we have a general meeting with the town's control group, just to, not everybody gets a small.
Yep, we definitely will.
They're probably going to, I've already started going through the binder, but see something was what exactly. Any other questions? No, okay, we'll move on. Victoria, do you have any questions?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I guess we're going on to Gerald, property standards. Gerald, are you on there? Oh, there you are. All right, so we'll just turn it all over to you, and thanks for being there to give us information. You must be on mute.
I was gonna say, I can't hear anything. Can you guys hear anything? Nope.
No, we can't hear you.
1, 2, 3, testing.
There you go.
1,
You
2,
got it.
3. There we go. Thanks for having me here today. Last council meeting, we had a good discussion about some particular points of the property standards bylaw and the implementation of it. And council had a few questions, and so we went through that. Really, today, I'm just here if there's any additional questions about the property standards bylaw. And if anyone has some questions, I'm here to discuss and answer them to the best of my ability.
Well, thank you. Again, a lot of reading, and I'm just looking through to see where we had the changes made. All right, so I'm going to open the floor to each counselor if they have any more information. I'll start with Susan.
No, I don't have any more questions about that.
All right, what about Sabian? And Diane?
I don't have any questions, but I wasn't here to the meeting and he was doing the differences, I guess, or the changes. So I think that, or for myself, it would really help, or any other, if you're not at a meeting, to be able to still see the changes. But anyway, I don't have any questions at this time.
Counselor Joseph?
No, no question.
All right, well, that was an easy one, Gerald.
That makes it easy, but just to clarify, there was no change, like this is your first implementation of a property standards bylaw. That it's brand new. And so there really wouldn't be any changes to that particular of what you had before. You didn't have any property standards bylaw before. So, but thanks for the opportunity.
All right, thank you. And this is only a draft, so counselors, if you have anything that you want to go through and see, you want to change it or.
Can I just ask, is there policies then on property standards? What did we have before? Because I thought.
So previously, there was no property standards bylaw for the town, and so this would be, the Building Code Act gives the municipality the authority to have one. It doesn't force that you must have one, so that's why you didn't have one before, but it does allow the municipality, they may pass a bylaw for property standards. And so that's where what this is doing, is the municipality choosing to create a new bylaw and pass it for the municipality.
I thought I remembered a policy or something that talked to even about, grass cutting and all that kind of stuff.
Clean yards.
Oh.
So-
That was clean yards, yeah.
Is that not
Yeah, we have
part of
We have a clean yards bylaw that's separate from the property standards. That it just covers basically the yard. Property standards covers the house, the things within the house. It covers things about tenants. It covers things about fences or retaining walls. It has a lot of, I mean, if you read through it, it's quite extensive. There's a lot in there. So clean yards is just about just that, really, having a clean yard and keeping your grass cut and not having, derelict vehicles in your yard. But this is much more than that.
So does this replace that one, or does that one still stay?
That one still stands as far as I know. Is that typical, Gerald, or should we incorporate it and not have that bylaw?
I think it's worth looking at the clean yards bylaw to see if it's like there is information on this property standards bylaw that does include clean yards. So it does talk about the tidiness of your property, but I think this bylaw takes it to the next level. So it's not just looking like the standards of your property, but the standards of the building, like Victoria said, the tenants, vacant buildings, and sort of bringing the standards of the properties in the town to a certain level. So this takes it to the next level from a clean yards bylaw.
So they wouldn't contradict each other, like again, being able to use, where one says one thing and one says another kind of thing. So what I'm thinking of is that possibly could happen. you're trying to enforce one and then one says something different where it says, oh no, it says this and this, like, that's what I was thinking, like, again,
Yeah.
if we have
Well,
there that are not incorporated, then is that a possibility?
I think that's a really good point. And thank you for bringing that up. It's something that I actually hadn't considered. But you know what? Maybe we'll just take it back and just make sure that they aren't conflicting. And we'll have a discussion internally with staff and decide, should we incorporate them and maybe bring something back to you guys, or keep them separate and maybe remove things out of the property standards that might be conflicting with the clean yards, and then we'll bring something back once we take a look at that. So thank you for bringing that up.
If there's no further questions, thank you, Gerald. Oh,
So just, I do recall this coming up, and the reason we're implementing or putting this in place, mainly it has to do with the safety of our community members. If there's a lot of dangerous properties out there,
Yes.
buildings, and it gives us some teeth to help
That's
deal
right.
with it.
Moosonee Lodge post.
Yeah.
That's what.
So I wasn't going to point out any property.
My apologies, but.
Yeah.
It's a worry of mine. We post.
I guess that's something that we can act on to make it safe. Yeah. All right, thank you. So we will go on to we'll read the resolution again that we came at the last time.
Yeah, we wonder if now or discuss first. We wonder if we look now or discuss first with them. We should table it for. Yes.
Check. For the new truck.
Resolution 2026 be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Moosonee purchase a 2026 GMC 2500 HD for the building department from Siemens Garage for the purchase price of 86,579 plus shipping.
All right. Table, can we have a mover to consideration, please? Susan? Seconder? Sabian? All right. So, there was quite some discussion on it. We asked for a list of equipment and vehicles available, which Victoria has provided for us. And we wanted that, and we wanted some discussion, so the floor is open. Who would like to start? Dr. Tozer, maybe I'll start with you.
Okay, I was not at the last meeting. However, I did see it in here, and how often does our building department come up and require a truck? That was my first question, and I'm sorry if you've gone over this at the last meeting.
They come every like 4 to 6 weeks. So it's pretty frequently, and they come for three days at a time, usually 3 or 4 days. And they obviously are inspecting the build, and again, that's going to be ramping up. So, and then once I know that things are going to be heating up over the summer, so they're going to come up more often during the busy season versus in the off season. So we kind of wanted to get a truck into place for when they're coming up quite frequently. When the building department does come, they have to borrow a vehicle from another department, and then oftentimes that leaves the department shorthanded. The other point in the briefing note is that with the building permit fees, they have to be used in the building department. So in this case, we do have money in the building department budget right now, and buying this extra truck just makes sense for them to have a vehicle. They're not taking away from another department, and it also gives the town of Moosonee access to an additional vehicle when they're not using it, which again can be helpful if someone else's vehicle is out of commission, or if another contractor is in town and needs to use a vehicle, then it's not taking away from another department.
So it can be used by other departments when the building department isn't using it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Council Ryder?
So I was just looking for the list that you had sent or whatever, and you've got 2 trucks on here that are down, I guess. Are they down or like need repair? So they're
Need
not being-
repairs. Need repairs, yeah.
So they're not being used right now?
Those 2 vehicles are not being used right now. I did advise the manager to just book them in at 2 Bay to get the repairs completed. He had ordered parts for them. He has now received the parts. He had intentions of installing the parts, but he's been extremely busy with the weather. So I just advised him as I was making the list. I said, you know what, just bring them in, book them into the mechanic in town, and just get the work done. So he's done that now. So I think they're booked in to be repaired in the next few weeks. So.
So I noticed on here that one of them is the animal control truck, I guess, it's a truck, and
That was the
So-
one she was using, yeah.
so we are getting a van now, so is that not gonna
Yep.
be the extra truck for the operations? Cause she's getting a van for your order.
Yep, the van is coming for her. Public Works is short vehicles right now. They really need an extra crew truck because right now they don't have an extra crew truck. They only have the one. And then when they have to do traffic control, like say they're doing a water main break or something, usually they use one of their vehicles to block the road off and direct traffic, but then they still need another vehicle to be able to run around and do the things they need to do. So right now they're shorthanded a truck.
So that would be another truck when it gets repaired, because there's 2 that are down. So one gets repaired, and when that gets repaired, that's their extra truck that they can use for that. And then there's another truck that is the animal control truck that is down right
Mhm.
now. So 2 trucks up and running, is that correct?
There's 2
One.
down right now, and if we can get both back up and running, and again, I mean, they have to be repaired. I'm not the mechanic. Apparently they are repairable. But I guess in that case, right now we are down a manager, so the manager isn't using a truck. Right now, the supervisor's using a truck, so I assume the other truck will be used for the supervisor during the day to get around and do the things that they need to do.
Can I add something to
Yep.
that? So again, working with the animal control officer right now, from what I was advised previously, and something may have been changed. I thought part of the issue with that truck was it actually had a crack in the actual motor, the head of the motor. I didn't think it was easily repaired. That one. I could be wrong, but that's the last report I got on that truck. So I don't know for that one. So that
So we
one,
bought parts for it?
I don't know, but I don't know, again, Victoria might know a little bit more, but I don't know to the extent of what would repair that truck. I don't have the list. I don't know what she brought forward, for vehicles, but I know that one wasn't pretty good, just
I mean, I
repair
think
from
at
what-
this point, we'll look into and see what repairs can be done and for what types of prices. And if that truck is not repairable for a reasonable price, then we will have to surplus it. And then we will be rid of that truck if that's the case. But again, I'm not the mechanic. I'm not sure how much it's going to cost to get fixed. I'm not 100% sure exactly what the problem is with the truck. So I can get more information on it. Either way, the building department doesn't have a vehicle and they do need to use a vehicle, and we do have this money earmarked for the building department. So again, I'm just recommending that we purchase this truck for them since they're going to be coming up for the next 4 years, on a pretty regular basis, and they're going to need use of a vehicle.
Susan?
I took some time and looked at the list. My suggestion, I had the same questions as Diane. I know they were getting fixed and all that, so we already talked about all that. But what hours do they work? Do they work like just whenever they can? Or do
Who?
they work day,
regular day.
regular day hours? I'm just making suggestions, but the on-call truck for the airport, I really want to take away the airport though, because they get really busy down there. I think all of a sudden something will happen and then they've all got to go. Same with Public Works, right? They've all got to go. And really, at the end of the day, if the money's earmarked for building, then I don't see why we wouldn't buy the truck. But that's just me though. But I wanted to suggest some other things too, because there's another one, that Dodge Journey. But that one needs repairs too. You know, the one.
That one just needs a battery. So I also advised the supervisor there to just book it in and get the battery changed. So yeah, I mean, that one's an easy repair, and they do use that vehicle a lot when transporting the custodians all over town, because they do clean all of the buildings, not just the airport and the arena.
Seen them walking sometimes and swatting the flies, and I'm like, these ladies work at the arena, and then they've got to go all the way down to the airport, like. And then I thought, okay, we're not taking that one, but I wanted to ask about it because it says being repaired and you were talking about repairs. I don't really have any other suggestions other than, I mean, I think if it's earmarked for that, then I don't know. That's
Say again?
They don't have a question. Sorry.
Okay, I have a couple concerns. If this truck is only being used for 3 days out of the month, how's that gonna look to public? Where are we gonna park it? Secondly is, we're getting a new van for the dog catcher. That thing should be parked as well. And I don't know the hours that this guy is working, but he either flies in or comes in at the train. He's here for a day and he goes back out. So really, it's not 3 full days. All right, can we not share the vehicle? Because the dog catcher's not out 8 hours a day with that truck. And that truck should be, the new one we're getting should be parked somewhere too. So when they need it, they go get it. Because only managers get trucks. And I'm just saying, we have a policy in place and everything else. And how is this gonna look to the public? That's my concern.
I think the vehicle also just being able to be a backup to the town if the town has a vehicle that's down or they need backup for something, like it will be available. Or, you know, for instance, Northland comes up several times a year. They need a vehicle. We could lend them that vehicle. It's not taking away from another department. Like, kind of the issue that we've had is that the departments are using their vehicles, especially in the winter. It's a lot harder to find a spare vehicle because everybody needs their vehicles. And then we run into a problem with we're trying to find something, and then someone ends up shorthanded and isn't able to really do part of their job because now they don't have a truck available. So that's kind of been an issue that we have dealt with, and this kind of would alleviate that problem.
My second question was, the concern was, do we need a brand new $86,000 truck? Can we not get a used one?
The reason we went with this one is because obviously the CBO is going to be driving on site a lot. They're going to be going into inspection zones, construction areas. So we wanted to get like a more heavier duty truck that also had heavier duty tires on it, so that they're not going to, for instance, like, did you like the deposit site? Like, I wouldn't have been able to drive in there with my truck. Not a chance would I have been able to drive into that deposit site with my vehicle. So I think, having the heavier duty or bigger truck would be of use considering the need of the department.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Carden.
I have one question, sorry, I wasn't here. We have an agreement with the company, correct?
Yes.
What is the onus for us with this company in terms of providing vehicles?
Well, they need to be able to get around to see this stuff. I guess, they're kind of like a contractor of ours when they come to town, like, similar to, if the planner came to town or somebody else, if they needed to go around and see something, like I said, Northland comes to town to do work and we provide them a vehicle. It just, it's a lot cheaper for us to provide a vehicle than it would be for them to bring a work vehicle and put it on the train and, put it back out on the train. Yeah, so that's what we've done in the past with other contractors as well, and it saves us money.
Yeah, it was 4 or 5 years if they could provide a vehicle, we could park it for them, because what I fear might happen with this truck is that we buy it for the CBO, and when they're not here, the other 3 weeks, it's gonna become a work truck. And it's gonna get beat up. So I'm just trying to think. About that, because it seems if we want to, you need a distinct vehicle for the CBO and that outfit. That's and we're gonna lend it out to the other equipment, so I know. If public work guys get in there, you know how they are. Just kidding, I love them, but.
Well, that's the thing is that in this case, they wouldn't, like it would be if they for some reason really needed a vehicle. But I mean, ideally, this vehicle is more so going to be parked at the fire hall. The CBO will use it. Like I said, other contractors that need a vehicle will use it. And for some reason, like they say we were evacuating and we needed an extra vehicle, we could use it then. But it wouldn't be kind of, hey, the vehicle's over there, whoever just go grab it and use it. It would more be why do you need to use this vehicle? And then, if it's a very good reason, then, you can use it. But it would more so be on a permission basis, not really kind of just available for anyone to use anytime.
And we were gonna put it inside the hall, so it's not inside.
All right, any further questions? We will vote on this. All in favor? Opposed?
Four.
Report for page defeated. Motion has been repeated. All right, we move on to the briefing notes, Moosonee soccer. Victoria, I think that's with you, is that?
It's in there. Tara wrote the briefing note, but she's not there tonight, so I can speak to it if you'd like.
We have a motion like you on the floor.
Resolution 2026 number 2026-095, be it resolved that the corporation of the town of Moosonee acknowledge and support the Moosonee Youth Soccer Program briefing note and the transition approach outlined therein, including the final 8-week transitional season, temporary soccer coordinator position, associated corporation operating budget funding, and direction to staff to establish a formal governance and indemnification framework.
Have a mover for this, please. Susan? Seconder? Yes. All right. Victoria, I'll turn it over to you now.
So this is something that was kind of brought up at the last meeting, that was discussed a little bit, just touched on based on the donation request that we'd had. So since then, issues have kind of arisen that, the town was going to kind of help out the soccer association, or sorry, the soccer youth program, by sort of allowing the money to run through the town. But upon further legal advice and, kind of trying to figure out what this looks like, it kind of led us to basically saying that more or less we would own this again this year. And I just like to be clear about the history of this. So prior to last year, the year before that, the rec manager, Brian, was kind of running the soccer program, but he was running it personally himself, and he wasn't running it through the town. But because he was a town manager, people seemed to be under the impression that it was run by the town. In fact, it was not. It was only last year that it was formally run by the town, because no association or nobody had kind of established an entity to run it. So the town decided to run it. This year, again, the group didn't make itself, I guess, a legal entity. So they weren't able to create bank accounts or do some of those things similar to the minor hockey association. So anyways, they kind of asked the town if that would happen, where they could run it again, sort of let the money flow through. But like I said, it's a bit complicated. So the town would be willing to run it again this year without a soccer association. But we really do think it's important that a soccer association is formed similar to the minor hockey association. There's a lot of reasons for this. We did get a list from the lawyer. She just sent it this afternoon, where she formalized it kind of into an email for us. But there is a lot of liability for the town in running these types of programs, and most towns do not run these types of programs. Again, it's on the associations to run the programs. So more or less, Tara has laid out here kind of what it would look like. And if the town council is in agreement with this, we would be asking to hire a soccer program coordinator on a part-time contract. As this was it was an extreme amount of work last year on the existing staff. And it was very, very difficult for them to manage it. There was a lot of overtime put in by our supervisor, and there was a lot going on with it. So it's not really manageable for the current staff that we have to also run this, which is why they're suggesting that if the town council would like recreation to run it, that we're able to hire somebody for a short-term contract to actually run the program itself. And then she also included some framework for the liability, and also some, I think she also included, just want to make sure she put it in here. Oh no, she didn't put it in here, I guess. She also did create some liability waivers and volunteer waivers and other supporting documents to also go along with this plan. So they're not in here, but she did create them. So I don't know if there's any questions.
See,
Sorry. Don't have any questions right now.
Susan?
So it says the funding for the 2,400 to 3,600 to pay the soccer coordinator position would come from the recreation operating budget. Is it just so if I'm understanding the plan correctly, it would just be this year?
Yes,
Right?
because we really, I mean, again, it's up to council what they want to do, but our lawyer did advise us that, we should really try to move away from this and encourage a soccer association to develop as its own entity and take on the running of the program for next year, would be her recommendation to us. And as I mentioned, the time commitment from staff on running something like this is quite significant, which would be another reason to kind of, try to get the soccer association to develop and become like a legal entity and run it themselves.
Does Tara have someone in mind? Soccer season starts on Monday.
I'm not sure. She hasn't mentioned if she has someone in mind, but I'm sure that they'll put feelers out to people who are already volunteering with the soccer youth program. Sorry, I forget the group, whatever the acronym is there. Anyways, I'm sure that they'll just kind of reach out to the group and see if there's anybody that would be willing to step up into the role and manage it over the next 8 weeks.
Okay, thank you. That's all I.
Don't have any questions. I just want to say that, as a recreation department, I think that, that's part of the responsibility that we take on sometimes. And that, we step up and we provide. It's an important event, or activity. We have hockey, we have soccer that are main things, baseball that are main things within our community at different seasons. And this is just one of them. And as a recreation department, we just step up and do what we have to make it happen. That's all I have to say. I don't have any other questions.
I do believe we do need to maybe get some extra help hired for this. I'm not opposed to that. But I'm also a bit cautious with the, I don't mean to be contentious. my worry would be if we go into too much more of a formalized state for our soccer program, that it won't be as inclusive to all all children. That, you know, with increasing prices or what have you, or things can happen, and I've seen this happen with minor hockey. We're growing it now. We have I think minor hockey has 100 participants.
Yeah.
The junior soccer league though, I don't have kids in it, so I haven't gone out. How many kids are we looking
I
at?
think they had 200 sign up.
Yeah, I think it was over 150. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
what do
very
you-
inclusive right now. It's very inclusive. Yeah.
That's the key thing right now. And I'm worried that if we make it too formalized, that all of a sudden, some of those kids are not gonna be showing up. I just want to, whatever we do, I want to ensure that regardless of what happens, that program stays inclusive, accepting, open to buy. I know the cost is $40. And I think we have some influence as a council with that right now. Once it moves away from us, we kind of lose that influence, and I'm concerned because I can see problems ahead with this. I know minor hockey has when we implemented went to the NOHA and became formalized, it was a struggle. There were a lot of ups and downs, and even the numbers have gone up and down over the past 20 years. This program has been in place in 14 years now, 15 years, maybe even longer, because it was the late Doug Marshall with the OPP and a couple of us other parents that actually started organizing this at the ball field behind the high school. And then the flies got too bad and it moved inside.
20,
Yeah.
So yeah, so
28 years ago.
So for all those years, 20 years, I'm just curious, why now? Like, but I know the question is there not additional liability that we can get, but we get waivers, or are the ways around it where we don't lose that sense of this belongs to the town? Because I've always felt that the town has been very supportive of the soccer programs. And I kind of feel like by going this route, we're kind of drawing back. And those are just my two thoughts for now. I certainly agree with doing this year and you know, looking at that person to help coordinate that and run that and to, you know, to not donate their time, but it's not a huge, it's minimum wage basically, to get out there and be compensated a bit for their time. I have nothing against that, but I want to keep thinking and look at different alternatives to the soccer program for next year to see if there's a way we can tweak it without getting too much down, say the rabbit hole, but maybe that's appropriate. I don't know. I just don't know how this is going to work, and I don't want to be responsible for shutting down the soccer program as well.
Not in an election year. No, I agree with you. I think a lot of the issues this year has just arisen from maybe the confusion of like who's running what, who's supposed to be doing what, who's responsible for what. So I think that's where maybe some of you know, the ambiguity has kind of set in, and there's different factions and people. Again, it's just unclear, and I think it's creating a bit of you know, confusion within the volunteer group and the staff, and nobody really knows what's supposed to be happening. So I mean, I think we should think about what's happening for next year, and you know, if the town is saying, you know, we do want to keep this and we do want the town to own this program, that's fine. We can do that, but then we can prepare for it. You know what I mean? Then we know, okay, the town is running this program. This is what it will look like. And we can get that posting out for the soccer coordinator sooner, and we can, be prepared. And then the volunteer groups know what's happening. We know what's happening. But I mean, again, I think this year it's just been confusing because last year we ran it. The year before that, like I said, Brian ran it and he didn't run it through the town. He ran it through himself personally through his own little thing. So we didn't run it for several years when Brian was running it. And now it came back to the town and the town ran it last year, but then we said last year, okay, the volunteer group can take over next year. And then kind of all of these things happened. And then, here we are, and we're just still trying to figure out who's doing what and who's responsible for what. So I think, again, just knowing what the plan is for next year would be very helpful, I think, to all parties. So
I think in that case, then I would suggest we go with the soccer coordinator and have them start to coordinate and straighten things out and get things going smoothly. And then at the end of the season, reevaluate to see if that worked or not. And is that something we can? And if it does look like it was a positive experience, then we say, okay, we know what we need to do for next year. And if it's not a positive experience and that there's still some confrontation stuff, maybe we need to look at a different
structure. Yeah.
So I would suggest we and then reevaluate at the end of the season before we make any finalized and then get the feedback from the coordinator and the parents and volunteers and see that would be my suggestion.
I have some on this as well. Again, for many years, we ran it. We're having so many changes this year. One of my main concerns is, hey, you gotta get a soccer corporation started, or whatever you wanna call it. Everybody has to join it. They can charge whatever they want, whether it's the schools, whether it's the individuals. They can say, okay, you wanna join soccer, you have to pay, it's usually number $200. All right? Now, there's groups that do charge an entry fee, but there's other groups, like the schools, that is all volunteer, they don't. But we're gonna put everybody in that same boat, I don't agree with that part, okay? Actually, I wanted to talk to Sarah in a couple times, I missed her, because we're working on our information policy right now. Secondly is, my main concern when I've been reading this and thinking this over. So, if the town runs it, then we're gonna have to run minor hockey, we're gonna have to run baseball, we're gonna have to run every other. How are you gonna keep that separated? You can't just go say, no, we're only gonna run soccer. Okay, so those are my real concerns. We have to really think about it on the whole. So it's quite a mess. And we're doing all these changes and this year, and this is an election year. We're making decisions for the new council that's coming in a few months. Is this fair? Not to us, actually. A lot of us said, whether we run or don't run, but for the new council, maybe have totally different. Is there any way we can run this like we did it for the last year and then basically go from there, like the government, give it time and we have time to look at it, think about it and everything else? That would be my suggestion. And I'm really worried because minor hockey, you have to pay a fee to join minor hockey. What happens with this right now, we have other schools that all participate in, and there's no fee for them, it's free. You get this committee started up, or whatever you want to call it, everybody's gonna have to pay, probably. And another thing is, we're donating, and we donate a lot. And now we're gonna have to spend another, whatever the cost is to have a coordinator. So those are my concerns, because that's going back to the taxpayers. It's got to come out of that. So, I think soccer is a great thing, but I think we have to look at the whole big picture. I want to have a team for minor hockey. I have to join the hockey association. The hockey association charges each individual. Not up to us whether we donate, some. So those are things I'm worried about. Great, but, any other questions? So this motion on the floor just asking whether we are looking at basically running it, but basically what we did, I guess, when Brian was there, under the town, we're going to hire a coordinator for this year. Is that what I hear, and what I see on the resolution? Is that correct? But on this resolution, we should put for the 26th season, I think.
Yeah, we can add that.
Yeah, for the 26th season. That way, it's basically the same goal we got in the past, is that correct?
What's the matter?
Except for the- Yeah, so that,
Yeah, we just.
Yeah, that's right, at least that, yeah.
It says for the, for 26th season, everybody agree with that? All right, any other questions? Victoria, any other questions?
No, I appreciate all the feedback though. I mean, I think, if we do it again this year, I think, looking back at the season and figuring out, what ultimately the costs were to the town. And again, we just got a lot of more information on the liability pieces, so maybe at the end of the season, kind of doing a review makes sense. And then, perhaps then the town council can reconvene with this new information and sort of make a decision preemptively for next season. So that if they do move to opting to go with an association versus running it internally, then at least the association or the volunteer groups know the town council is saying, this is what they're saying. And then that way it's very clear for everybody on what's going to be happening for next year.
No further discussion? All in favor? Opposed, carried. We're having a software coordinator edition. Yeah. Okay, here with the manager CDWCE motion.
Resolution 2026 number 2026-096. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Moosonee approve the request from Project First Nations for the use of the Moosonee Community Center third from May 1st to May 4th, 2026 in accordance with the municipal donation grant policy. And that the council approve option blank as outlined in the April 10, 2026 briefing notes.
Can I have a mover, please? Carmen, you told the mover, second here. This is the second. All right. That for discussion. You all had your briefing notes on it.
What did we do last year?
This camp came last year. They did the same camp last year and it was really successful. There was a lot of kids turn out to the camp. It was a lot of like high school aged soccer players that came out and they were running different, skills and things with the kids. I think it was a really great program last year that they ran. And I mean, they come up, they do it all for free. So I think it's great.
Next question? But I don't remember. I think we did, right? But I just don't remember what we did 100%. I think we did last year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did 100% last year as well.
Thank you, Victoria. Sorry, I'm like losing my voice.
Questions or input?
No.
Diane?
no questions.
Spider? Questions? Option. That's okay. Option one, thank you.
Yeah. I would support 100%. Donate at 100% option
One.
one.
Yeah.
All right. There's no further discussion on that. We're going will vote on it. All in favor. Opposed, carried. Okay, Project First Nations. We did that one, we go with new business, there's nothing, petition correspondence, that's motion, there's nothing. Advanced polls, bylaw.
Resolution 2026 number 2026-097. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Moosonee approves bylaw number 7, 2026, being a bylaw to provide for advanced polls to be held prior to voting day, being read the first and second time, be then to be read the third time and finally passed.
Can I have a mover? Again, second, Ernie. Again, Mackie moves it, second by Simon Dozer. Any discussion on that? Great. Victoria, when does it open for nominations?
Maybe Boblin knows?
Make sure we work, polls where nominations are open.
The reason why we asked for the dates because we're starting posting for the election 2026, so we need the dates for the advance poll.
Okay. Answering my question. Anybody else have any questions?
The election date is November,
Sorry.
the regular election.
October 21 is the voting day. Yeah, this is the advance.
That's what when's the,
It's October 21. Wednesday. It says, I think it says here.
yeah, it says that the advance vote
It's
is Wednesday, October 21.
21, and the
Regular vote.
actual voting day is 26 October 26.
Okay, please.
Any other questions? All in favor? Okay. Business, we don't have any. So Councilor, okay, Councilor Ryder, you have the floor for the discussion of what the town's plan is for the CEO after May the 12th, 26th.
Yeah, so if, as a council, I wanted for us to have a discussion on what we're going to be doing with the contract that we currently have ends on May 12th. And I know we've had previous discussions of going to a temporary contract position through a company to try and get us somebody here that will be able to be here in Moosonee and not be remote. So I'm just wanting to bring that back up on the table to see if that's still a direction we want to head in or what's going on there. Because I think we should be going through a contract, and we talked about Phelps, I think is that the that they have, they can find, or part of their services is finding temporary executive positions. And so putting that on the table.
Okay, I just want to bring everybody up to date. I get to speak with Phelps, Cheryl, Widmark is her name, to find out when the closing date was, how they advertised and what the process was. We also discussed about the committee at the last meeting, if you remember right. Okay, they're not doing nothing until the 20th of April is when the closing date, I believe. I can't remember the date. Correct me on this one if I'm wrong, Victoria. But,
It's 22nd. Sorry, the 22nd, yeah.
Okay. And then from there, they've already been looking at, and they have some candidates, but they have to wait till the closing date. From there, they want to do their search, and then they're going to have the three of us go through a short list, I guess, to make what their short list and to pick a few and go from there. All right, so, but that was all that we had. Hopefully, we can hire, and I've also stressed to them that we want a CEO here as soon as possible. So that's just bring council up to date on. So I guess what the council writer is asking is what is our plan after the 12th?
So when the closing date is the 22nd of April, which is next Wednesday.
Yes.
And And then what happens after, like, how long does it take for them to, for the people that need to get together to take a look at all the things, shortlist? And like, so yeah, that's the only thing I really wonder about is how long does it really take?
I can't answer that question. They couldn't answer that question. It depends on all of us. Okay, but they already have candidates that they're looking at.
Yeah.
So they hope to get a short list, right, so the 40 days is done. And then do the committee, which we discussed here at the last meeting, Carmen wasn't here, but I filled them in on it. Okay, and from there, we're going to get our 2 or 3 candidates, whatever we decide, with their recommendation, and those are the ones that are going to be interviewed by the whole town.
But we also talked about them having to come up, and visit the community and we know from past, I mean, when I first got on, we didn't have a CAO and we had a couple or 3 or 4 3 anyway, that came up. Once they came to the community, we decided it wasn't for them and that we didn't, so then we had to go back into the whole process again. So that took 1.5 2 years.
And then,
possibly.
you know, we might be evacuating, so.
Yeah.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean? No, I don't. I know I was joking, everyone. But I mean, you know what I mean? There's gonna be a lot of things going on during that time period too, right, in the community, so. Just saying, lot to think about.
I talked with adults again. They don't know either because once they interview, if somebody accepts it, how much notice do they have to give, how much do they, you know what I mean, or can they come up? Another thing is our housing, and we're gonna be talking about that with Steve later, okay, and the camera. We're gonna have housing issues too.
I think what's important for me is that the updates that we get and the things that are happening, as long as things keep moving forward, right? We're not going to be, you know, waiting, or that's what's most important to me, and that's the kind of updates I like look for.
I think we'll know more after the 22nd, and then we'll see where it is, you know what I mean? I'd love to see them offer somebody to make them up and look at and take it and move in, you know? Then we've got housing issues too.
When's our next meeting?
Right?
When's our next week?
Which one?
We, if they pick the selection, you know, and then we agree, or we go that way, we're gonna have nobody, how much notice they have to their company if they're working, or what, how long do you have to move up here, or
I think next Wednesday, we find out on the 22nd whether that we call them. And we push them. And see how, and get an idea. Then we make a decision about what to do for May 12th and after.
and when I did speak with Cheryl, that was her concern, is they advertise at closing gate. And if you,
Oh, no, I get that.
Process, right? It does take time.
the month that they advertise.
I think we reevaluate next meeting.
Put it back on the agenda, so we'll have more fun.
We'll have more information to make an informed decision.
All right, I guess, we'll, you can just put this
Not
back
ideal,
on the
but-
agenda, the 28th.
And then it's gonna take a long time.
I don't have to put that, just a discussion,
Yeah.
see,
I mean, I don't think they're.
Somebody inside all
Yeah.
late winter or early winter, maybe.
At least I feel more comfortable making that in.
yeah. All right, so, the other thing comes to right?
Yeah, that was the only thing I had on.
So now again, we're going to go into closed session. That's all we have left on the agenda. So thank you very for coming out. And we're to The closed session was brought up at the last meeting here, we wanted to meet Victoria and speak. The closed session, it's going to be about identifiable education.
Okay, I'll log in the other one.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Maybe needs to read.
Okay,
Yeah.
before we, on camera, we have to pass this motion to go into closed session. 2026-098. We resolved that this meeting moved in camera at 7:26. We discussed personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal employees. We have a mover, please. Susan, seconder. Moved by Susan. Winter, seconded by Carmen Dozer. All right, pass resolution, come out of camera. Resolution 2026-099. Be resolved that this meeting move out of camera at 8:03. Yeah. Can I have a mover, please? Diane, secondary, Carmen. All right, any discussion about coming out of camera? Not all in favor. Opposed, carried.
So resolution 2026 number 2026-100, be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the town of Moosonee adopt the minutes of the closed session number 5, 2026 of March 24, 2026 is presented / amended.
Can I have a mover, please? Susan, did you put your hand up?
Yes,
Okay,
sorry.
Stephen, did you second?
Yes.
I didn't know if you were scratching your head.
Sorry.
All right. Are there any changes to the minutes?
Yeah, we have it.
We have a way. All right. So we'll accept them as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Signing that one. So,
Yeah, it's the
will be signed.
last, the regular meeting.
All right, so resolution 2026-101. Be it resolved that this meeting adjourn at 8:05. Have a mover. Susan, second. Carmen. Any discussion? All in favor? Vote carried. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Last one.
Well, thank you, Victoria.
Thanks, Dave.
Good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
I'm going to give you a call tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Anyone also can call me anytime if you guys want to call me. All right. See you later.